Hey, it's Chris, Liege of Games. Let's do this. I played all the way through Legacy of Gravehold from Aeon's End, right? The latest campaign-style co-op deck builder from Indie Board and Card. What do you need to know about this? What are my reviews? What are my thoughts on it, having played it all the way through now? I'm going to give you a short synopsis. Non-spoilers first, also some spoilers in at the end, but let's talk it. Do you need it? Are you an Aeon's End junkie? Where does it fall in the line of the other expansions? Let me help you decide whether or not this is right for you and worth picking up. Let's do this. This is the second big box expansion in the lines of campaign games for Aeon's End. The first one being much more introductory, this one very much not holding your hand whatsoever. It also has legacy components that are going to be interesting, and we'll talk about what happens with those here in a minute. I'm not going to talk about spoilers. I will make that very clear here in a minute when I go into the actual spoilers. But the main element of this is it has a diversive splitting narrative where one side you can start on the campaign of Azer and the other campaign you can start on the side of Gravehold. And you can then negotiate, weave your way through various mages, various barracks in terms of the marketplace that you're going to be setting up for each game. That's going to be unique because you're only going to have access to ones that you can unlock via either defeating or not defeating the various Nemesis that you're going to be fighting. And potentially how well you do on said battles will either limit or potentially give you more in the marketplace that will be available to you. As with always the custom with Aeon End, it allows you to tailor the marketplace in each and every game to your own choosing, to that matter. So that being said, how do I feel about things? Well, let me just show you right here. This is the first thing I'm going to say. Spoilers. A little bit of spoilers, not a ton of spoilers though. These are all of the envelopes. There are 21 envelopes right here. You see all these envelopes? I'm throwing them away. I'm throwing them away because they're empty. They're gone, right? Another big chunk. This is part of the insert. And I'll say right now, this insert is not good. I do not like this insert. I did not think it was helpful. And I'm going to show you the top-down view in a second, and so you can see what it actually looks like, though, because it's a lot of empty space also at the end of the campaign. So a little bit of spoiler here, but not too much at the same time. The main thing I want to show you is that this rack right here is almost full, but it's using the breeches as well to hold them up. This one's pretty much full, but then this box right here is practically empty. You know, you have all of the guys and, you know, little spoilers here, obviously. You have a little bit of the guys, but a little bit. Otherwise, if you put them this way, this thing is literally probably a good almost 10 inches by 7 inches. That is empty space. So that is not pleasing in terms of size afterwards. Although I guess you can say that maybe it's more of consolidation with other boxes, and you could probably just throw this box away as a whole, which blessing or curse depending on how you feel about it from that side of things, right? But otherwise, that's just something I wanted to show you. So the other thing I have to say is this is the amount of cards that are getting thrown away. Now it's a little deceptive because a lot of these are the like back and front stop cards, but it's still not an insignificant amount compared to the amount of cards we get. I just have to mention that because you're going to be, you know, doing that. You're going to be writing on these cards. You're going to be Xing marks on the cards. You're going to be writing letters on the cards, all of those sorts of things. And how do you feel about that? Now, let's get to the actual gameplay. What do I think of the actual gameplay? Is this that different from Aeon's End? Do you need this in your Aeon's End collection? So where do things fall for this game comparatively to other ones? Well, I'm an Aeon's End junkie, so first off, be aware of my own bias with this. It's coming in with a few new things. You know, conjure, boost, you know, I forget the detonate term, but essentially you get too many X's, you lose that card, it's destroyed permanently. And those cards aren't portable over, which is sort of a boon and a curse in that sense. There are 13 total bosses. I mean, the number I don't think is a spoiler by any means, but I didn't get to play against all of them. By the nature of the splitting narrative campaign, there were about 3 or 4, I think, that I didn't get to play through in terms of depending on whether you win or you lose, depending on which campaign you start with, and sort of who you choose mage-wise. So that can be good because now I can go back to it and I can import all of that with other expansions and play them that way. But you can also say that maybe you don't get your full money's worth because it's not linear, and so you're not going to get to play everything. The other aspect of this is you have the 2 campaign books that I mentioned, and there's overlap. And when you finish one campaign, it put me to the exact same starting spot against the same boss I'd already beat in the second campaign. And that was really off-putting. Like, I don't really need to fight him again. I don't want to fight him again. And I found myself just wanting to skip past him and not fight him again, and then find a diverging branching point in the narrative to give me something different. And that was sort of irritating, to be frank. And maybe I missed something, but that was a little bit off-putting. The other thing I'll say is there is a large, and this goes with all of the Aeon's End, right? All of the standalone ones. You know, I don't need this many more sparks and crystals. I hate that. I have like 1,000 sparks and crystals now. I have enough for the whole of my county to be able to play individually Aeon's End, right? For a starting hand. And that really just gets to me after all of the boss styles and all of the repetition. That aside, is the gameplay holding up? Yes and no. The gameplay holds up in a way that you're seeing new things, you're seeing new mechanics, you're seeing how the bosses differ. But some of the bosses, they're just more irritating. I mean, there are ones where it almost feels like it's designed to make you lose, so you have to play it a second time. The difficulty just is so incredibly ramped up depending on how you shuffle those decks that even the balance of the marketplace, even if you are a person that is choosing the marketplace, and that's sort of the advantage of the other Aeon's End games, right? Is you kind of get a glimpse, or you kind of know what the boss is going to do. In this game, you don't know what the boss is going to do. So should I be healing Gravehold? Should I be having a mage that really heals me? Should I be having the marketplace that tailors to that? You know, am I going to be wanting to burn more cards? Where are the advantages? And you just don't know. And so you're almost at a detriment because the difficulty curve is so high in this game. There were a couple battles, there were 2 or 3 battles that I was just like, well, I'm screwed. You know, not even really a good chance to win. Now, the other aspect of things, and maybe this is me, I thought the Azer side of the campaign was more evenly balanced in some ways than the Gravehold aspect. There were definitely some imbalances that I felt in terms of strengths. But if you are one of those Aeon's End junkies as well, the bosses all have upgradable difficulties. So if you really think it is too easy for some reason, you can always do that. The other thing I'll say is this expansion, this is the mix point. There is so much upkeep, so much nitty gritty going back and forth. Token this, token that, count this, count that. So much more of that in this expansion that I have mixed feelings about it. As someone who played the majority of this solo two-handed, it made a lot of upkeep and it was good, but also a lot more than in some of the other ones, which say what you will. But like I said, it was also a little bit anticlimactic at the end, right? I had 21 of these envelopes. I opened about 4 or 5 of these envelopes that I hadn't even gone through, having completed the full campaign. And I got to open about 5 decks of cards, either marketplace, mages, or even bad guys, because I just didn't reach them. And that feels kind of anticlimactic as a whole, right? I mean, the whole point of doing this and having these is to experience the full plethora of things. You know, yes, it would be one thing if these were just completely eliminated, but no, it's like they're still there and you can still fight them, and now you can port them over to your regular Aeon's End game, which is great. They give you a whole deck of things to, you know, sort in and sort out, and that's where, you know, a fair number of these cards are going to, you know, come from, in terms of the ones you're getting rid of that refer to like the storybook instead of, or the event cards, as opposed to just this happens. So that's fine. But there are also, you know, the end bosses in this that aren't portable, that they say, well, you can't play them outside of the campaign. So now I've got like 2 or 3 bosses at the end that just, do I even keep them? I don't know. Final thoughts? Yeah, I mean, it's Aeon's End. It's doing things differently because that's what it needs to do to keep coming out with iterations. I feel like you're starting to get power creep now. Where do things go from here? Because these mages and these powers are way above and beyond some of the stuff if you're going to get like War Eternal or one of the earlier expansions mixed with this. Even the same name mages. I mean, I think I have probably 3 or 4 copies of Zaxos or whatever his name is, you know, right? And these ones make the other ones obsolete, which makes me concerned if I port in some of these bad guys with some of the earlier mages, or some of these markets with the earlier Nemesis, how balanced is that going to be? And now I have stickers on some of these, you know, mages. Can I even port those over? Am I ripping those off? Am I just ignoring them? And I've got a whole thing of stickers that, which is really nice. I didn't talk about that. You know, you're getting little bonuses. Gravehold, spoilers here, Gravehold starts with extra health, or your mage starts with extra health, or Spark does an additional thing on it, or Crystal gets an additional bonus for this, or Mage gets an additional bonus from that. But again, that's another downside where the mage specific upgrades are mostly about relationship. So you have to be playing with the two mages where the relationship is, otherwise it's worthless. So if you're someone like me who's playing two-handed, unless I'm using those exact two mages, I'm never upgrading them, which left out a significant component of the stickers and the upgrades that I just never even bothered to use. Never even bothered to use them. That was probably a part where, you know, I probably could have done 3/4 less stickers and upgrades and more just other stuff. That was probably the big letdown for me from that aspect in terms of the getting experience and using those things, because I just didn't see the use in some of it. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on Aeon's End. I mean, again, I like Aeon's End. I had a good time. I like playing Aeon's End overall. I have all of it. But does this, you know, have its highs? Yeah. Does it have its lows too? Yeah. I'm not really sure where it falls. It probably falls somewhere right in the middle. I don't think this is the best. I don't think this is the worst by any means, but I worry about power creep now with my previous stuff. And should I just, for example, get rid of my original base game because it's so much more creeped up and advanced than what they started with? And that's the nature of things, but also, what do you do now? So there you go. That's Aeon's End, Legacy of Gravehold. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've played it. Let me know your thoughts on it as well. How do you feel about things? Are you going to get more of this? Are you done? I am on the fence. You know, I backed the last Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign, and we'll see how many more I do. If it is more like this, I'm going to be making tough decisions in the future because, you know, player, not collector. Thanks for watching. Stay classy. Have a great day. Subscribe if you like. Hit the thumb. Thanks.